where you live, how many kids you have, just as an introduction first.
Yeah, my name's Amber Jackson. I'm a single mom in Mesa, Arizona. I have 4 kids, 13, 8, 4, and 3.
And it's probably not snowing there like it is here.
Oh, for us, it's a very, very cold 55 degrees. So,
Oh, it's so cold here right now. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you have had quite the past few years,
yeah.
to say the least. And obviously this is about women who have grit. I've called it gritty mamas for a reason. And I think that women have this, I don't know, this power that sometimes we don't unleash like we could. So tell me what, just from the beginning, this is just a regular conversation. What has happened in your life?
Yeah, so I usually start my story. I feel like where I really had to dig in my heels and find that spot was I got married very soon out of high school. He returned from his mission right around the time I graduated high school. So we got engaged like 2 months out of when I was out of high school and married right after. And then when we had our first son 2 years later, that I feel like was my first moment. It was kind of when I realized like, oh, I'm an adult now and adult problems are happening. It was when we found out at birth that he was born with Down syndrome.
Oh, not till he was born.
No, we didn't know till he was born.
And there was no indication?
We did not do any of the tests. We thought, like, what are the chances? And it's just not going to happen to us. And so I, like, really spiraled into a deep postpartum depression and anxiety. And a lot of it could have just been, like chemical, like just baby depression that women go through. I don't know if it was diagnosis or not, like if I was feeling depressed because of his diagnosis. But I think that was the first time that I really was just like, all right, life out of high school is hard,
Seriously. Like, yeah, you had to adult really quickly.
I had to adult. And then he's incredible, though. He's my oldest. He's 13. And then we had a second child 4 years later. So we were married 6 years. And when our boys were 4 and 4 months old is when we ended up separating and we got divorced, which was a shock to me.
Can you go into that? Like, what happened?
He just decided that he wanted to live his life differently than how we had been living our life together. And he said, I love you. I think you are incredible. You're my best friend. I'm just not attracted to the kind of woman that you are. And that was it. And so, which was just a huge, you think like the one person in life that's going to love you for who you are is your spouse. And so that was a lot. And so I spent a lot of time trying to figure out like, all right, who am I as a woman? Who do I want to be? And it was really hard because, like I said, our kids were 4 and 4 months old. So I was exclusively breastfeeding.
Well, and
so
you're in the thick of postpartum. Like, let's just kick you while you're down and tell you that he's not attracted to you. Well, I mean, we're not that attractive at 4 months postpartum.
At 4 months postpartum. No, it was really hard because like you said, like that I was still doing middle of the night feedings. And then I had gone back to being a nurse. I'd gone back to work as being a nurse, working night shift. So my whole sleep schedule was off and I was in school getting my bachelor's program and I was in a big calling at church. And so I was so confused. I remember him telling me that night and I just took a couple seconds to be like, wait, I was just so confused. And I remember having to pass back and forth. We'll have to pass to him. I would pump and then hand him like frozen breast milk and be like, can you feed our, 4 or 5 month old child? Do you know about wake windows? Do you know about middle of the night feedings? Do you know about all of this? Like, it was just such a hard thing for me to hand over everything that I had just taken care of, knowing that he was, hi, baby girl, knowing that everything that he was or that I was taking care of and knowing he was having to do it. And I remember feeling so strongly, like I just prayed to the Lord, how am I supposed to like give up this much control?
Okay, wait, Amber, pause. Pause. Okay, she's got to go potty. Okay, Nico, 1 second.
You're good. I get it.
Oh my gosh. Come here, Nico, quick.
Okay, I'm hungry though, Mom.
But go back to where you were. What were you saying?
No, you're good. Just like trying to give up that control. And it was just so hard for me when it was my children, my like newborn baby and my special needs child.
Oh, you're meaning like when the divorce is done. And you're having...
Like in the very beginning when we were separated and the divorce, like the paperwork was being filed and I knew, he had moved out and the kids are now spending the night at his house. And
your 4-month-old baby?
Huh?
Your 4-month-old baby is spending the night at his house when you're a nursing mom?
Yeah, I think by the time we started, he was 6 months old, I think is when we started going back and forth. And so, it was like, really hard. And Can you imagine? Like, I still
I
fed in
can't
the middle of
imagine.
the night.
I can't imagine because I'm dealing with something similar.
Yeah.
My baby is going to be 3 tomorrow, but like it's like you're having your it's like you're a fish out of water and the kids are being ripped from you.
Ripped.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
that's what it felt
you're
like.
still nursing. And
I
then
was,
you're
yeah.
entrusting that he's getting up, not sleeping through the crying cuz let's be honest, like 6 months olds don't all sleep through the night. Mine never did.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think by that point he was like an angel baby. So I want to say he was, and that's why I agreed to it. And I still think he had some middle of the night things, because they go through growth spurts and all of a
Right.
sudden they're up again and then all of that kind of a thing. So it was just really hard. And I remember just praying about it and the Lord telling me, like, I will take care of them while they're over there, but I need you to create a safe space for them when they come home. And it was just this feeling of like, I am the only one that can give them a happy mom who loves life.
Yeah.
So when they come home and I'm constantly stressing about this and that, and what has your dad done over there and all of this stuff. And I'm like, are your naps okay? And is he feeding you vegetables and all of that? Like, it's so much, it was all consuming to me that I was just an anxious mess all the time. So I just had to honestly like let it go and know that they are safe and taken care of, whether or not their naps are being done like I want them to, or they're eating their vegetables at dinner. And I was just going to create a safe space for them. So I was going to make sure that I was in the best place so that when they came home, they felt safe. They felt like, this is mom, this is a place I want to be.
But I do want to like I don't know if I love this term, but like I want to hold space for the fact that you missed that control, because I don't think, because I'm dealing with the same thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with worrying about their nap, with worrying whether or not they're eating well. And I know you don't, but I'm like, so many people are like, they'll be fine. But it's when it's your children that were in your womb that you birthed and nobody cares or loves for them like you do. It is hard to just be like, take care of it. Hope you do it good, And
I totally agree with that. And I think it was,
how did you do that?
I think my stress and my anxiety, like I said, was all consuming. And I lost like an insane amount of weight and I couldn't sleep. And it was more of like, survival. I need to be able to live my life with like peace.
Yeah.
So I still worried and I still had conversations with him and I still asked, but it was just to where I wasn't like always feeling like I was going to fall off a cliff because I was just so anxious. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, you had to survive yourself emotionally.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had to get through my day when they weren't there and different things like that. So,
oh my gosh.
So we actually, fun twist to the story, we weren't even separated a year. So our divorce was finalized for a couple months and we actually got married again. That tends to shock people. Yeah. So, basically he just had said I might have jumped the gun in wanting to get divorced, and do you want to consider trying again? It's very interesting being asked out on a date by your ex-husband, by the way. Like, you can add it to my life bingo card. Like, never thought that would happen.
So how long after you were divorced did he do that?
4 or 5 months. I think it was like 10 and a half months, 11 months from when we originally separated to when we started dating again. So I know we got remarried like right before that year mark of our separation, but we were only married for 2 months.
The second time.
I think officially like 4 months, but we filed after 2 months because he was just like, I really tried, and he just couldn't do it. So
gosh,
that was probably the most passionate prayer I've ever said in my life, was that second time that he left. Because, so from the first night he left to then the second night that he left was a 13-month period. So I prayed about it before we got married again. Like, all right, Heavenly Father, he's wanting to try, and we were divorced, but we had kids together and all of that. So I was just like, all right.
we're members of the church. Did you get married in the temple?
We were married in the temple, so our temple
believe in eternal families. Yes.
And my biggest thing when he left was that the first time was like, he just left. He had been feeling a certain way for quite a few years that I was not aware of. And so my biggest thing was like, why didn't you tell me? Because we could have worked on it. Maybe, not like I need to change who I am, but if you have needs that I'm not meeting, like, let's talk about this. Like, this is what you do in a marriage. And I was so frustrated that he just left without giving me the opportunity or the chance
You're blindsided.
to work on it. Yeah. And so then when he came back the second time, I thought, you're a year late, but this is what I wanted a year ago.
Yeah.
So.
And you're going to do it for your kids.
I'm going to do it for my kids. And we really tried, and I really tried And when he left, it really was that feeling of like, I did everything I could to save this marriage. So I truly was able to just
Wash your
put it
hands of
behind
it.
me
You got a
and let it
clear
go. And I
conscience.
really was able to have peace with the whole thing. Like I did everything I possibly could to save that marriage. So.
But 2 months later, like, he's just
Yeah.
like, the wounds have like been bandaged and they're torn, like the sword never quite fully came out. You're still healing that and
No.
then he
It
just
was a
jabs
rough-
it in there a little bit further and gives it a little twist and a grind. Like, what the heck?
I know. Like, I again lost weight, and I.
Well,
like,
and your kids are like, wait, what? What is happening here?
It was whiplash because my youngest was a year and a half at this point, and my oldest was not quite 6, I think. I'm trying to think of the math. Not quite 6. So yeah, it was just a lot. You know, like dad moved in, like we were going back and forth, and then dad's now living with us, and then dad's not living with us anymore. Like it was just so much on their little bodies.
And where is he now? Is he married? And
yes, he's married. They're pregnant with their second baby. So
it's just weird. It's just weird.
It's just weird. Yeah. It really is. So I then met my current husband actually like fairly soon after that. I was a nurse at the time working night shift, and he was a fellow nurse. We didn't work on the same unit, different units. So then another nurse was like, you guys should go on a date. You're like the same person. And we knew each other by face and name, but nothing more than that. And normally I'm not one to date someone I work with, but when he asked me to dinner, I don't know, it just felt like it's just, there was such a pull. It was just like, there was something, I just couldn't say no. So, and then from that first date on, we were just inseparable. We just knew, I feel like, from that first date. So we were married December of 2017, and we have 2 kids together. Wow. Who are 4 and 3. And when our youngest was a month old, so we were married just over 3 years, he had a seizure at work, and he was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer.
Oh my God.
Called glioblastoma.
Like, I mean, there's no chance. They just straight up gave you, like, it's terminal. Like,
yeah. So with glioblastoma, there is no cure.
Like,
there's
is there stages?
5% survival rate at 5 years. So for the chance to even make it to 5 years, there's a 5% chance. So Tim, I call Tim, he's my current husband. I call him my meteor because he just came into my life at such a dark time. I was very comfortable with who I was. Now that I had put that divorce behind me, and I knew, like, I'm confident in who I am, that was not my fault, you know, like, not that I didn't have fault in it, and I'm sure I could have done things better, but like, I really tried, and I was just loving who I was. And then Tim came in at this time, and I say that he just lit my world on fire. He lit me on fire. You know, my first husband said he wasn't attracted to the kind of woman I was. And Tim, I feel like, loved every part of who I was, like, for exactly who I am.
The ground you
it was just such a beautiful thing. What was that?
I just said he worshipped the ground you walked on.
Honestly, that's how it felt. I'm like,
that's
I don't
how
feel like
it should be. Dang it.
Feel this way in a relationship. Like, it was just truly fairy tale what dreams are made of. So then he gets this terminal diagnosis, and he's had 4 tumor resections. He went through clinical trials, chemo, radiation, like all of the infusions. And it was 16 months.
So back up a little bit. So he's doing all this stuff just to prolong his life, I guess? Because
because I mean, there is like a chance that they can live a couple years. You know, there are cases out there of like 14 years or something. So prolong his life, quality of life. Like, we're just trying to get as much time out of him as possible at this point. You know, this was a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. So this was February of 21 that he was diagnosed.
So you were married for 3 years?
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and our youngest was a month old.
Oh my gosh! Again, you have like.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with. Okay, so let's back up a little bit because I mean, I know this is like it's history and it's in the past, but like we just zoomed over like diagnosis and death. What was it like for you when he got this diagnosis? Like, what did you just cry? I mean,
oh yeah. So when they called me, I remember I was at Walmart, and it was February, and I was going through the Valentine's clearance section, even though it was February 11th. So it's funny how your mind remembers certain things.
Where you were
and where I was, and I had milk in my cart. I remember that. Oh, and she called and said, Tim had a seizure. And all I kept saying to her was, Tim doesn't have seizures. And she kept saying, Amber, which it was a good work friend that I knew. She said, Amber, I know he doesn't, but he did. And I would be like, I think you have the wrong person. Tim doesn't have seizures. And she was like, I know that, but he did. So then when we officially had the diagnosis.
So he was taken to the hospital where you work?
Yeah, so he worked
work
at the hospital during the day at this point. And a coworker had noticed that he was just kind of talking funny. So she had taken him down to the emergency department, and they were going to kind of have a doctor look at him on the side. And it was while she was down there like, hey, can we get someone to come look at Tim, that he just went down.
Oh my gosh.
He started to have a seizure, and she pinned him against the wall, and they were able to get him into a bed. And so, yeah, it was just amazing timing that he was in the emergency department when it happened. Wow. And yeah, we cried, and we knew. So it was from that day that I knew, you are going to die from this. Like, this is going to be what ultimately kills you. I had hoped and prayed for like 3, 5, 7 years. You know, we have a 1-month-old baby who I'm still up in the middle of the night doing feedings, and who we had just had 2 procedures for his tongue tie. And like, that was our biggest problem right now, was his tongue tie. And you know, different things like that. And we had a long conversation the night before. So this is February of 21. So COVID was still pretty high. And we had a conversation the night before about how he felt like he just worked too much. We had this newborn baby. It was our 4th child. And he was like, I just feel like I need to be home more. So we had talked about a potential career change within nursing still, but a different department that would let him be home more. And then it was the next day that he had a seizure. So I always joked with him. I said, when I wanted you home more, that's not what I meant. You know?
And so did he love on your first 2 from your first husband?
What was that?
Like, did he love on those first 2 kids?
Oh my gosh. Yes. They just absolutely loved him, and he loved them as his own. So my oldest has Down syndrome, and then has been diagnosed with autism as well when he was almost 5. And my husband, was like one of his favorite people. He preferred him over me most of the time. And he just loved on them. Like they were his children, is how he looked at them. So we knew at that point, like, we truly just need to enjoy the time that we have. And we just prayed that we would have years. But like I said, it was June of 2022, 16 months that he ended up passing away, which the general time is between 12 and 18 months. So he was right on par.
So tell me, okay, so he's diagnosed with terminal. So is this like, how long has this tumor been growing? Do they tell you that?
Yeah, they don't know. They didn't know. It's hard to tell. He had like 3 different lesions, a mass in 3 different places. And so they went in.
Go ahead.
With the first biopsy, the first doctor was just like, you need to get your stuff in order because it doesn't look good, is all that we got. And then here in Phoenix is the Barrow Neurological Institute, which is one of the greatest brain places in the country and probably even the world, I think. And so his general oncologist, who handles like all kinds of cancers, he was like, you need to go over to Barrow. So he had some referrals. He sent us over there, which we got in with the neurosurgeon there, who I think is the top 3rd in the world. And he was absolutely incredible. I think Tim made it the 16 months because of him and his program, or else I think it might have been sooner had we not gone through him.
Let's not forget that you have a 1-month-old in tow at all of this. Again, in the thick of postpartum, like thickness, and the engorgement. And you're probably still, probably still wearing the witch hazel pads, for heaven's sakes. Like, you're still in
and
it.
our first together, so our daughter, so my 3rd, our first together, she wasn't even 2 yet, and then we had a 1-month-old. So when he went in for his 2nd brain surgery, so he first had a biopsy, and then now he's going in for the 2nd surgery, but it's the first like major resection where they're going to pull out as much of this tumor as they can. It's like a 6-hour surgery. So we were there. I was at the hospital all day long, and the hospital was so good to me. They set me up in this room, made sure I had a breast pump, made sure I had food all day long. And they were like, you are just as much our priority as Tim is, because you have babies at home. It was so tender.
Yeah.
It was so sweet.
That you weren't forgotten.
You have babies and you're stressed. Like, you need to keep your breast milk up. It was just the sweetest thing with how much they took care of me, as much as they took care of him.
Okay. So you basically got to watch him decline right in front of you.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Tim was very smart. Oh, he was so smart, but he never made you feel inferior for how smart he was. He always just, floated it into like you didn't really know it until you really started talking to him, and then you're like, you're actually like really smart. And he was witty, he was so quick and so funny. And so that was really hard for me to watch, because immediately some of the things that started to go were his speech. He was still able to talk, but he could not think of the right word, and it was like his memory. And then like he wasn't as quick on stuff, and then it was stuff like he was just home, and so I would be like, we need to run these errands, but do you want to stop and get lunch? Where do you want to go? And that was too much of a decision between like errands and lunch. I'm like, this or that. If I gave him a this or that question, it was too much. He couldn't process the decision.
So it started to affect his cognitive ability.
Yeah, it did. And then I know towards the end, it was really hard because he would just say words, and then he'd laugh, and you knew like, oh, he just made a joke, but you had no idea what it was he was just trying to say. Or I remember one time him telling me he wanted me to buy magnets at the store. I don't remember why, it took him a long time to tell me. I don't even think I fully got out of him that he wanted magnets. He eventually, I think, showed me on the fridge, but it was things like, at first he was able to stay home and it was fine. Like he just wasn't as quick, so he couldn't go to work, but he was still able to be home and help me with the kids and all that kind of stuff. He couldn't drive right away because he lost part of his vision, but he was starting to leave the stove on, and he was putting stuff in like metal in the microwave. And then it got to the point when I couldn't leave him at home at all. Like at first I could leave him at home with the kids if I needed to run an errand, but one time I came home and he had all of my clothes in the back of the truck. He was trying to give them away. And I compare it to having him having Alzheimer's. When people take care of people with Alzheimer's.
And did he
that's
ever,
what it felt
was
like.
he ever like lucid and be like, wait, what am I doing?
Yeah.
He would do that.
It was always really, really hard when those moments would happen, because it's like he knew. I'm trying to think. I think for a while he actually just pretended to know what was going on. And then when he knew, like, oh no, I just did something, it was just so hard on him because he knew how hard it was on me.
Yeah.
And he was the kindest person. He never raised his voice at me. If we ever had a disagreement, he was always just like, I need to talk to you about this. He never treated me poorly, even in disagreements or arguments. And I do remember one time, I don't remember what I did, but I made him upset, and I remember he used some pretty harsh words that he's just never used with me before. And I knew, this is the tumor talking.
Yeah.
It didn't mean it was not hard for me to hear him speak to me like that. Yeah. And when he came to, it wasn't until the next morning, but when he came to and realized what he had said the night before, I mean, he was just beside himself. Aww. Like, I cannot believe I said that to you. So it was really heartbreaking. And I was like, it's fine. Like, I knew it wasn't you. I knew that it was the tumor, but it was really hard to watch because I knew my husband would never treat me like that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was moments like that.
I'm going to shut this door. She keeps singing.
I can't hear her. Oh, and even if I could, I'm sure it would be great.
That had to have been devastating for you too. And then to have like the wherewithal to say, okay, no, this isn't him. This is the tumor talking. I love that perspective. That we could all probably say that in our own lives. Like, okay, this isn't who you are. This is mental illness, or this isn't who you are. This is depression talking, and that helps give me perspective on what I'm dealing with, and I'm sure it will for everybody else. So how was his passing? How did that go for you? What was that like?
It was tragic and beautiful at the same time. I knew, so we got a diagnosis early May in 2022 that his tumor had grown and that they were going to stop the chemo that he was on, and they were going to try this last ditch effort with this other drug that wasn't even FDA approved. And I kind of knew, like, this is the beginning of the end.
Is this the Hail Mary?
Yeah, it was a Hail Mary. And I, for some reason in my mind, thought like, okay, end of summer. Like, I've got like 2 months with him, maybe. Like, we kind of need to start wrapping things up. And so I decided to take him on a trip, just the two of us. My family was like, we've got the kids, you guys just go. We then had another trip planned that we were going to do with the kids, of just because he was still able to walk and go to the bathroom by himself. Okay. Like, he was.
So this tumor is only affecting him cognitively at the moment.
Yes. So this was the last week of May into the first week of June that we went to Colorado, and we had this small town in Colorado, and we just had an incredible time. Like, he was kind of confused, but also like he had a lot of lucid moments. and we just rest and relaxed. And it was just absolutely beautiful. And we got home on a Saturday night. And I knew that Sunday he'd be in bed most of the day because we traveled a lot, and I knew it was just going to wipe him out.
Yeah.
So Sunday he was in bed a lot, and I was just letting him rest. And then I realized about midday that his headache was just so bad, and I could not get it under control with the medicine we had at home. And then he's starting to throw up. And at that point, especially with a brain tumor, I'm like, I'm not doing this at home. You don't have the flu. I know what this is. So I took him into the emergency department, and he started having seizures that night, and then he passed away the next day. Oh, it came so fast.
That was like the actual, like in Colorado though?
No, so we got home Saturday night.
Oh yeah, okay.
From our trip, and then Sunday he was in bed and all of that stuff, and then I took him to the emergency room Sunday afternoon, and they gave him some medicine to help with his headache, which made him really sleepy. And then I remember a point in the middle of the night, it was about 12:30, 1 a.m, and he kept trying to go to the bathroom. He kept trying to stand up and go to the bathroom somewhere, and he was so confused. And my sister was there with me, and I knew they had talked. So at that point, he had so much swelling on the brain, and they talked about different ways to try to bring it down. Surgery was no longer an option. They were like, it's not like he's so progressed. So they talked about ways to kind of help. And I'm thinking we might be able to come home and put him on hospice after this. But then in the middle of the night when he's having a seizure, he hadn't had a seizure yet, I think at this point, but he's trying to go to the bathroom and he's super confused. I knew, I don't think we're going to leave this hospital. Like, I think this might truly be it. And I remember he stood up and he was trying to go to the bathroom and he was super confused. And I was just like, honey, where are you trying to go? Like, let's just sit down. And he looked at me, and again, he's super confused. And he looked at me and he said, oh, it's you, which is the most clear he had spoken in like a long, long time. Usually his words were so garbled, you couldn't even get words out of it. But so clearly he said, oh, it's you. And then he booped me on the nose, and he said, boop, right on my nose. And then he laid back down, and about 30 minutes later, he had a seizure, and then he just never regained consciousness after that. And then he died at 1:30 the next afternoon.
Oh my gosh. What do you think that was? Was that just a moment where he's like, it's you, like, I recognize you, I know who you are?
I think so, because he had been sleeping all day. And then especially when we got to the hospital, and he had so much medication in him that he was just snowed. He was just so out of it. And I think it was like his last moment where I think he knew it was coming. And I think the Lord knew it was coming. And I truly think it was like I hold on to that moment, that little boop on the nose that he gave me, because I'm trying to think of how to explain it. Like, our love was just so pure. Like I said, like, I just felt how much he loved me, and I just loved him so dearly. So I think it truly was this moment where he was just like, before I go, like, I just need to see you and your face. And I think I needed that moment of his lucidity, just for him to be like, I'm here, it's you. Because I feel like now that he's gone, I feel moments where he just boops me on the nose, where he's just like, I'm right here, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. That is so amazing. That, like, yeah, and the fact that you guys were given that one last trip together.
Yeah, truly. It was a beautiful trip. So, and I hold it so dear.
Did he get to see your kids then, at least when he came home?
He did. He saw them Saturday night, and, before he went to bed. And the part that's heartbreaking to me is my daughter. She was 3 at the time. She had missed us so much, and she was still taking naps. And so I had laid her down for a nap, and she didn't want to go down. She was just like, I miss you, but she still really needed it. And I was like, I will be here when you wake up. I promise. Like, I'm not going out of town anymore. I'm here. You've got me. I'm all yours. And then it was while she was asleep, and my, at the time, 17-month-old was taking a nap, that my husband got worse. And so while they were napping, I had called my mom and said, I have to take him in. And so I took him to the hospital, and he died before they got a chance to see him.
Yeah. But you know what? Maybe that was okay, because they saw him when he came home. Yeah. They knew they'll remember what he was like. Yeah. Instead of, those final moments when he probably wouldn't have been awake, right? Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. the day he died, he just did not look like himself, his happy, jovial self that he was. And so I don't know if I even really wanted them to see him like that.
And I've seen in your pictures on Instagram, I'm like, he did start to look frail.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, was this the medicine talking? Was he still eating? I mean, like, it was like obviously the cancer was taking over his whole body, but it changes your physical appearance.
Yeah, he didn't eat much. He had a really hard time with eating. That was always a struggle. And I remember one Sunday, he really felt like food from, I don't remember what restaurant it was, but he wanted it so badly. And I was like, I will go on a Sunday and get you whatever food you want.
Right.
And I just remember I bought him like the whole menu because he was like, that sounds really good. And he ate it. So yeah, he did not eat much. He got really frail, and he just it affected his skin and how he looked. And there's a bit of an age difference with us anyway. He's 12 years older than I am, and so then even with the cancer, he just looked a lot older than what he really was.
Okay, so tell me, Amber, like, to wrap this up, how did you get through that? First of all, 2 divorces from the same man. And postpartum with little babies and having to hand them over to him, remarrying the love of your life where you truly felt cherished and loved, and like, this is what marriage is, to losing him. Like, how have you gotten through that? What did you rely on, and what was how did you break through it?
Oh gosh. I think, I don't remember if it was Elder Bednar or someone else that said like cancer is the disease of love. I am so grateful that for his cancer diagnosis, because we had 16 months where I knew it was coming, where I was able to we like shifted our priorities, and I was able to love the heck out of him, and I was able to prepare for, you are going to die, like, this isn't a cancer that you might pull out of. Like, I know that this is going to take you. So that was one thing that I was really able to partner with the Lord and be like, all right, when he dies, like, I need that support. And then I just think after he died, it truly was, I just asked, it was just the Lord, honestly, the atonement, the savior of just like, this hurts so bad. Like, I just couldn't even explain the physical pain that it was. It hurts so bad. And I don't want to do this. Like, that was a big prayer I had a lot, was I just don't want to do this. I don't want to be that widow. I don't want to be that girl, or that story that like, oh, she divorced her husband and then now she's a widow after this amazing man. But that is my story, that is my life. And it's been hard, and it's been beautiful. I've had beautiful moments. And so I have truly just aligned my will with the Lord of like, what do you want me to do? And I don't feel like that's giving away my independence, and I don't feel like that's giving away my voice. It's just been like, I have a voice, and how do you want me to use it? If that makes any sense. And it's just been so much of like, I know you can make my life greater than what it is, but I need you to help me also feel joy, because right now this is just painful. And Tim will always be a part of my story. We're sealed. And I just, we had this saying that we would say on the phone to each other, when one of us was gone, we would say, like, I just need to finish up here and then I'll be home. And the other person would always say, take your time, do what you need to do, and then come home to me. And that was our way of being like, hey, we're good. Like, don't stress about what you need to get done. Do what you need to do. But I also really miss you. So come home. And I feel like that's been something that we've been saying to each other still, even after he's died, where I've told him, like, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to do what I need to do here on earth. But like, don't you forget that I am coming home to you.
Aww.
And I just feel like we are still companions. It's just on opposite side of the veil.
Wow. So did you remarry again?
No.
So you're single. How long is he?
I just here with the kids. It'll be 2 years this June of 24 will be 2 years. So I'm at 19 months right now, and I haven't dated. I'm opening up my mind to the idea of the possibility of dating. I do hope to fall in love again someday. Yeah. I do. It's just right now, I don't know.
Yeah, when your heart is still with him, and
and it always will be. And I think it's just been hard to put myself out there when I have kids as young as I do, and I'm with them all the time. I don't get out much. So But I know that it'll just come in the Lord's timing. I have full confidence that Tim and the Lord, like Tim will have a say in who I end up remarrying. I don't have a doubt about that.
Yeah.
He always made sure I was taken care of when he was here. And without a doubt, he'll make sure I'm taken care of, even though he's gone.
Oh my gosh, your faith is amazing. The way that you are just like relying on God, knowing that Tim is still there. He's still a part of your life and your kids' lives, and he's taking care of you even on the other side.
He is.
Love that. Well, thank you, Amber. This is going to touch a lot of people. I did not know a lot of that. Oh my gosh, a lot of that story. Can you hear my daughter calling?
No, you're good.
So anyway, is there any advice or anything? I hate those questions. They're so hard to answer on the spot. What would you tell someone else going through this? Like, what would you say to your younger self, knowing now what you know?
Oh gosh, I think two things come into my mind. The first one is that God gave us this mortal life, but he did not ask us to not feel mortal feelings. Like so many times when people think like, oh, just align your will with his, or like trust in God, that means that you can't feel sadness or anger or depression or anxiety or upset.
Yeah.
You know, like that was one thing where I'm like, no, like this still really hurts, even though I have faith in the Lord. And am I not allowed to feel upset because I have that trust in him? I think 100% he allows you to feel mad and angry and sad about your situation, because this is so hard.
Yeah.
This mortal life is so hard.
Yeah. But
it's what we do in those moments that we turn to the Lord instead of turning away from the Lord.
Yes.
I think that's one thing, that just give myself grace to feel what it is I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I'm sad.
Yeah.
I'm really sad, you know, and I've been times where I was so angry, whether it was divorce or death, and I was like, I do not like this, Heavenly Father, and I need you to know that, you know. And then the second thing is that it will get better. And that's something I tell myself daily right now. It doesn't feel like it, but there is something out there that is just so incredible for you that you just don't even know. Like the Lord will just has so many things in store for you that you just don't even know.
He'll consecrate.
You know, and I think back on my Tim, like I remember divorcing my first husband thinking I'll never love a man the way I loved him. And then I found my husband and I'm like, oh, I don't even think I knew what love was that first time around, you know?
I think that's hope. That brings a lot of other women hope. I've had a lot of women reach out to me about their marriages ending, and I don't know what to tell them. I mean, I'm in the thick of it myself, and yeah, you feel like all hope is lost, and like you'll never love again. I feel like Buttercup on Princess Bride. I will never love again.
It's true. It's true. Even I feel that way now. I'm like, I don't know. I have a lot of history. Who wants to come take this on? You know? But I promise you, like there is something out there for you. The Lord, the waiting is the hardest part, but there can be such beauty in the waiting. Yeah. And the Lord he just sees how wonderful you are, and he just has this beautiful package for you.
Oh, I
it
love
might
that.
take some time, but it's there.
I love that. And he'll consecrate all of it for our good.
Yeah.
Amber, thank you so much. The listeners are really going to be inspired by you. So thank you for coming on. We've all got kids in the background, probably knocking on doors. I can see my kids' fingers underneath the freaking door right now, and kids calling on my phone. So this is it's real and raw live on the podcast. And I'm in my closet. I am closet casting as usual. So thanks so much for doing this.